Joining me now is Employment Minister Stuart Robert. The Prime Minister asserting that Richard Marles is a Manchurian candidate. Is that appropriate?
The Prime Minister withdrew that. Question time can get pretty willing, Kieran. You observe it and comment on every day, and barbs get thrown. It's a lively democracy.
A lot of it is premeditated, though, this strategy. Are you comfortable with it, saying that Labor would appease China?
We've got to roll out the facts as we see them. Trade Minister made the very good point on the floor of the House. We've been fighting coercion in terms of China not living up to its World Trade Organisation obligations, and we're saying that has to happen. The Labor Party is saying, well, they would confront some of those issues. He's
clarified that, though, Mr Albanese, saying he would like all of that, all those tariffs and coercions to be removed.
Well, of course he has. All countries must live up to their WTO obligations.
So why is the government continuing to nail that one word that was said when Labor has said very clearly there's a bipartisan position here?
Because
are you risking what is a national asset, as Paul Kelly put it in The Australian today, bipartisanship on China and national security?
Labor's got form when it says one thing and does another. They said they'll keep our borders strong, and they didn't. They don't support us on exporting criminals. They haven't stood up to coercion before. So every time Labor says, no, we're fine, we're just like you, only X, Y and Z, when the pressure's on, they start to fold.
But is it in the national interest to say to China that Labor, they're ahead in the polls, they could win the office and form the government? Is it in the national interest for the government to undermine the bipartisanship on this issue?
Our countries are fairly sophisticated beings. But last time in government, when Labor dropped our defence spending to the lowest level since 1938, I think that undermines not just bipartisanship, it undermined the credibility of our fighting force.
So do you think Labor would appease China?
I think Labor tries to act strong when it comes to national security, whether it's defence, whether it's boat turnbacks, whether it's throwing criminals out. But when the pressure comes on from their coalition party, the Greens, they fold. They have folded every single
So you think they
time.
they would appease China?
I think they
agree with the Prime
Minister?
Minister?
When the pressure comes on Labor Party, the left wing of the caucus rises and they fold. Absolutely, I agree with the Prime Minister, because Labor's form is there for everyone to see.
But again, I'll put it to you as someone who's served in the ADF over many years. Is it in the national interest for you to say to our competitors and those coercing us that it's not a united response, that it's not a united response from our country?
Let me speak from experience, having served overseas operationally and being sent on a mission, if you like, because a Green senator had asked a range of questions and off we had to go and find answers. I understand what the Greens do. I understand their lack of interest. I understand they want to halve the budget.
But we're talking about Labor.
That is true, but every time we've seen Labor in government, they have folded. They've folded to the Greens, they've folded to their left-wing base.
But it's interesting here, I find this really extraordinary, because it's actually what China's trying to achieve is dividing. They try to divide their opponents, and you're aiding and abetting that.
What the Chinese government wants is for nations to act in deference to them, and we won't do that.
They also try and split other countries and political discourse and debates. They try and drive wedges. You're doing that for them.
No, the opposition's somewhat irrelevant. All that matters is the government of the day, and we'll continue to show the strength of how we govern and the consistency of how we govern. And it's important the Australian people see that Labor lacks consistency, it lacks strength, and at every major national security hurdle in the past, it has folded.